pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, it's an honor to present to you, young ladies and Coach. I've known your coach since she was this big. So congratulations on not only a state championship, but a runner-up in two other events as well. So that's a first and the second, 2 seconds in the state of Indiana. I'm not sure if that's ever been done in Crown Point or anywhere else for that matter. So well done, young ladies. So we'd like to present you with a commendation from the School Board of Trustees, and I'm just going to read this to you. We're honored to commend the 2022-23 Taft Dance Team for meritorious achievement. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of Trustees for the Crown Point Community School Corporation wishes to express sincere congratulations to the 22-23 Taft Dance Team for being named state champions in junior high AA Jazz and state runner-ups in junior high AA Pom and Hip Hop. The School Board of Trustees recognizes this achievement and rendered it permanently to its minutes to be preserved for public posterity, dated this 24th day of April, 2023. Coach, I'm going to have you introduce your young ladies as I give you the certificates as well.
All right, Briley Bowman, Libby Brown, Tyler Eberhardt, Aubrey Godino, Braylon McCready, Hadley McCready, Claire Peterson, Ellen Richter, Gabriela Rivera, Leah Sullivan, Sophia Borwald. That's it. Right? I didn't skip anybody? Okay.
Thank you, ladies. You made us proud.
Congratulations.
Yes, parents want to take photos?
Picture first. Miss Ellen, communication director goes first. That's fair game. Thank you, ladies. Oh, yes. Hold on 1 second.
Do I need to talk into this?
Speak a little bit about everything you accomplished.
All the fun. So this was actually one of the best seasons that Taft has ever had. They had 14 out of 18 wins this season, which is pretty unheard of, especially in middle school dance. So it's just a true testament to how hard these girls were willing to be pushed by me and Coach Ryan, and just their hard work in general. So way to go, ladies. We are both very, very proud of you. Thank you.
Parents that were here for the dance team, if you want to go, feel free.
You're going
as
solo
well.
today then. All right, well, thank you. Come on up here. All right. Excellent. We'll let them clear out and we'll get started. Okay. Well, this is familiar territory for you. Because I think in the 6 years I've been on the board, you've been up here every year, if I'm accurate and correct. So, what an achievement to be inducted into the National Scholastic Press Association's Hall of Fame. 10 straight years of the highest ranking. What an accomplishment. It's not easy. I used to write for my school newspaper. You know, we've talked about that. We were nowhere close to as efficient as this, so well done. I'm going to read the resolution of commendation at this time. The Crown Point Board of School of Trustees is honored to commend the Crown Point High School 2021 and 2022 Inklings newspaper for meritorious achievement. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of School Trustees for the Crown Point Community School Corporation wishes to express sincere congratulations to the 2021-2022 CPHS Inkling staff for receiving the Gold Crown Award from Columbia Scholastic Press Association and being inducted to the National Scholastic Press Association's Hall of Fame for earning the highest ranking for 10 consecutive years. The Board of School Trustees publicly recognizes this achievement and renders it permanently to its minutes to be preserved for public posterity. Congratulations, Mrs. Elston. I know you work hard. I know you're dedicated to this. What a blessing it is to have you and your team always. If you want to speak for a moment about the 21-22 year or team specifically, then also over the 10-year period, and just give us a view, and if you have any comment at this time, it'd be great. Was he on the newspaper too? He should have been.
Got yearbook pictures from a long time ago.
You're welcome. We are thankful for you and all the years of service you did. And we were just talking to your husband before about taking organizations and leaving them in better places than when you arrived or where you started. And you certainly have done that. So thank you, and thank you for all your hard work. And please extend our gratitude and congratulations to the rest of the team who are not here. Thank you, Mrs. Elston. This is for you. Thank you. It was good to see you.
Oh. Oh, I was gonna say. I'm surprised Brooke didn't tackle you before you got back.
Yes, please.
Individual and then board, or do you want us? Oh, all of us, okay.
Kind of proves that, he did a good job though, here after college and not here. I think you're the only teacher to ever take a photo with this entire board.
members of our community patrons for the ambassador program, please come forward at this time and face the crowd so you get your well-deserved adoration for completing the course. I don't know how I remembered that word. So this is our very first Crown Point School Corporation Ambassador Program. These are the individuals that completed it, so I will read that resolution of commendation. The Crown Point Board of School Trustees is honored to commend these individuals for meritorious dedication and support. Be it hereby resolved that the Board of School Trustees for the Crown Point Community School Corporation wishes to express sincere appreciation to these individuals, community patrons, for going above and beyond their commitment and support of quality education for students in the district by completing the Crown Point School Corporation Ambassador Program. The Board of School Trustees publicly recognizes this achievement and renders it permanently to its minutes to be preserved for public posterity dated this 24th day of April 2023. Dr. Terrell, before I read them individually, can you just, again, cover all the subject matters that these individuals went through, or do we have somebody else that's willing to do that?
I would ask Miss Allen because
Oh, okay.
and the reason I'm doing that is simply because she put so much work in behind the scenes to get this program to where it ended up being, that I think it's important to recognize her for all of her hard work.
Well, in this case, then, Miss Allen, this is all yours then right now.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
No pressure. Let's see, we had 6 different sessions over the course of this year. We started with understanding district finances and a broad overview of the district, instructional technology, inclusion, student services and support departments. What am I forgetting? We did a job shadow of our administrators in our buildings, assessments, testing. I might be forgetting one. That was student support. I should have had this ready to go.
No,
Sorry.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
6, all good ones, hopefully. And just learning more about the district, how it runs, and hopefully they all learned something.
Okay.
Fingers crossed.
Well, on behalf of the board, congratulations to all of you, because once again, now you're a little more informed of what it is we might deal with on a monthly, daily email basis. So you can be our spokespersons now there when one of my biggest pet peeves is the social media rumors that jump out when something jumps out there that one person heard or seen, and then it explodes into a conversation that's nowhere close to the truth. So now you guys can take on an added responsibility as being graduates of this program to move forward and help spread the correct word of what it is. Now, people try to get out there and say the right things, but then others, as that works, sometimes the truth always isn't what's out there. So congratulations on behalf of the board. Now, if I apologize in advance if I mispronounce your names. Anna Lee Wellbaker, not here tonight. Christian Washington. Jessica Krabari. Did I say that right? Okay. Janet Ellis. Jennifer Rosenbaum. Jennifer Urin. Julie Wendorf. Kristen Niemick. Catherine Rios. Melvin Swope. Rick Fluka. Stephanie Owen. Susan Yadrin. Is that right? Teresa Kowalczyk. All right, I don't mean to put anybody on the spot before pictures. Would anybody just like to say a few words about what they experienced? If no one does, I'm okay with that, but I figure I'd give the opportunity, being that you're the first class.
Well, I just want to say thank you. She did a phenomenal job, and she really makes Dr. Terrell look good.
Wait, by By the way, I did miss one. Ashley Perkins. Okay, it was.
Sometimes that
Okay.
takes more work than others.
Anybody else? Just, even if it's simple, it's, I mean,
Well,
to,
I felt like that was just a wonderful opportunity to meet the people that are behind the scenes. You know, we see the students, we see the teachers, you know, and that, but we don't always see the people that are behind the scenes and keeping everything organized and running the show very smoothly so that, you know, you take your child out to the bus stop, it's gonna show up. You know, I mean, it was just really nice to see people that clean and keep it safe and keep the food going and all those good things. I thought it was just a wonderful opportunity, and like you said, a way to be able to spread the correct information. I've already, you know, helped out my neighbors and that kind of stuff because, you know, they're just concerned about the population growth and things like that, and so I've been able to tell them exactly what's going on.
well, we appreciate your dedicated effort to make sure this went through being the first class and experience, you know, some things that might have not all, but it sounds like for the most part, everybody enjoyed the experience, so we're grateful for that, and to Miss Allen for leading you on that path. And obviously, we'll look forward to the next class next year, correct? So again, on behalf of the board, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'm.
Yeah, that'd be great. There are no parents behind me for this one. So it's a little
And ambassadors, feel free to stay or not. We appreciate you guys. Maybe a sauna in just a few minutes.
Patrons' comments registered to comment on educational issues. There are two this evening. Just a quick reminder, when you get up to the microphone, please say your name, address. Topics can't be anything personal or personnel related or individual student related, just as a brief summation. It looks like both things we're more than fine with the topic. It's 3 minutes. Mr. Smith will be our timekeeper tonight. He'll give you a 30-second warning and give you 2.5 minutes just to let you know you got 30 seconds left. So with that being said, our first is Maren Lambert. Did I say that right, correct?
It'll pick you up right where you're at.
Yes. Remember, just name and address, Maren, and then you take your time and you'll be okay.
My name is Maren Lambert, and I live at 311 West 117th Place. And I am currently a 4th grader at Eisenhower Elementary. I am right on the redistricting line, and I am forced to go to Solon Robinson for my final year in grade school. I've been Ike since kindergarten. Everyone there is like my family. Since the announcement, I've been very upset. I've worked hard to achieve goals that only would happen in 5th grade. I worked to get good grades so that I could be a good citizen so that I could, in my school, so that I could be chosen for honor society. I looked forward to working the haunted hallway at Ike Fright Nights as an honor society member. With sorry. I look forward to our trip to Camp Tecumseh. I look forward to our trip to Camp Tecumseh Tecumseh. I have been working on my communication skills so I can run for student council. With my classmates who know me and what I'm capable of. I look forward to joining Library Club. I worked on a business plan with my best friend for our table at Mini Economy. I learned how to build a team in robotics. We won the VexIQ Elementary Excellence Award for our school, and we went to the Indiana State Finals for our first year. I was looking forward to working with my team with the lessons we learned this year to try to make us to World Finals. I look forward to the 5th grade walk where I could visit all my teachers and classrooms and give the proper goodbye to my school and my teachers. I look forward to one last year in the school I grew up in before I had to readjust to a new school. Dr. Terrell said that every school has the same resources, that we will make new friends, that we need to learn resilience and to adapt. My new school does not have Fright Night. They don't have Camp Tecumseh. They don't have Mini Economy. I will have to reapply for the robotics team and hope I get in. I still have to find out whether I have to reapply for Honor Society. I will have to leave my friends who live in the neighborhood behind mine to make all new friends and have to do it again in a year. We are the kids who spent the last several years adapting. We are resilient. But to rip so many of us from our friends, from our teachers, from the Ike family that we have built is not right. Why can't we have an opinion to finish our final year at our home school like the last redistricting did? Why is my school losing more kids than are coming in the next year? If our parents are willing to provide our transportation, why can't we stay for our last year? I ask you to talk to us, the students. Talk to our families. Work with us to find a middle ground where we can finish our last year with our elementary school families that we have made. I know I'm not the only student in the district who feels this way. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, board members. Lynn Fessel, 6980 West 115th Avenue in Crown Point, actually Center Township. My grandson attends Douglas MacArthur Elementary School, and I just want to say how very pleased we are. The principal, the teachers, the staff. And they are absolutely diligent about keeping those doors locked, which of course we can't appreciate anymore. I just want to come before you as we hear week after week after week about security being breached. And I know that it has to be, if not your top priority, an absolutely high priority to keep our children safe. So I hope you just continue to move forward, just taking every avenue that you can possible just to keep our children safe. If there's anything at all that you would think of that parents or grandparents could do in a voluntary role, I'm sure there would be many people that would be happy to do that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Item 4 tonight is our consent agenda. Dr. Terrell?
Thank you. For your consideration this evening, we have 4.01, which is our business meeting minutes, 4.02, our personnel agenda, and then 4.03, the voucher registered checks as listed.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration for approval of the consent agenda. May I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Basin, second by Mr. Smith. Questions or discussion?
Question on approval of previous board minutes under item 7. I believe there may be a misprint. Other business of the board, whether it was a final resolution that was presented actually by me, and the final resolution states that the motion was carried. Actually, that motion was defeated. Am I correct in how I'm reading this? Don't you have that in front of you?
I'm trying to pull it up now.
Under 7?
I got to get there. Hold on 1 second. I believe you. No, in what you're saying, it sounds right, Tim, but
final resolution?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
The motion did not carry.
Thank you, Mr. Vassar. Any other questions? Oh, go ahead, sir.
I do have a question on the personnel agenda. Something caught my eye, and I don't know, Dr. Terrell, maybe you can answer this, I'm not sure. Under resignations, the number of intense special education paraprofessionals,
Mm-hmm.
I believe it was 4. Seems like a pretty high number to all resign within the same time. Just if you have any information, other than people's names and things like that.
Yeah, we can gather some information if you would like and bring that back. Not prepared to answer that. Yeah.
Yeah, just, it caught my eye.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions at this time? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Dr. Till is going to fill us in with a little bit of the recent changes based on that personnel agenda.
Yeah, so just want to take this opportunity, one, it's time of the year where there's a lot of movement, both for those who are retiring, and we want to thank them for their time that they spent and their careers and the impact they made on our kids. Also, we want to welcome those who are coming into our district. For people to come in and gain teaching positions here, they go through quite a process, and we really appreciate the work that they put into that, as well as our teams here as they interview teachers. Also, with that, we have some reorganization of our administrative staff. Want to announce tonight that we are creating a position of assistant superintendent, and want to congratulate Mark Gianfermi, as he will be our assistant superintendent here, so appreciate Mark. Also, Jim is going to be moving from the Chief Academic Office position to the Director of Grants and Assessments and many other things. So appreciate Mr. Hardenman and the work that he has done for us and will continue to do for us. With Mark's move into the Assistant Superintendent, the Director of Secondary Ed is open because of that, and Sabrina Ramirez is going to be moving from Director of Elementary Ed into the position of Director of Secondary Ed. So congratulations to Sabrina. And then leaving the Director of Elementary Ed open, tonight we have Principal Nick Gina from Timothy Ball, who is here with his lovely family. And Nick is going to be stepping into that role as the Director of Elementary Ed this summer. And Nick has earned his EDS degree, which is his superintendent's license, and is currently working on his doctorate. Appreciate Nick and his dedication to our district, and look forward to great things to come from Nick as he steps into that role. Really believe that this gives us a very strong team as we look at making sure that it's the best that it can be to provide those services for our students, for our staff, for our administrators as well. So congratulations, Nick, and everybody else as well. That is, yep.
Action items 5.01, policy 8510, wellness, repeal section B2A. Mr. Hart.
Thank you, Through a review of the policy, there was noted that section B2A of our wellness policy had a statement in it that I don't think anybody would agree with, and it also is not substantiated by the National Health and Physical Educators. Therefore, we are seeking your approval to repeal that statement. It's a statement that in some way just got overlooked, and I don't think was ever intended to be as part of the wellness policy that we have. So this evening, we're seeking your approval to repeal that statement.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration to appeal and remove section B2A from the Crown Point School Corporation Wellness Policy 8510. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Babjack. Question or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. And thanks for whoever was responsible for bringing that to our attention so we could get that fixed. Item 5.02, the purchase of student Chromebooks. Mr. Hardman.
Yes, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Brian Gill for his work in going through the process of our refresh cycle. We are currently in an annual refresh now where we bring in new computers for our kindergartners. We do a refresh at grade 5 and also grade 9. And this year, we are going to be hopefully purchasing 2,400 devices for those students. That also does include some additional devices for growth as well as for damage to our devices. We are purchasing these devices through an agreement with the Midwestern Higher Education Compact. This is an organization that does advance the cooperation resource of sharing in higher education, which gives us a good pricing on this. So seeking your approval this evening to purchase 2,400 Dell 3110 touchscreen Chromebooks and their management licenses for a total cost of $756,504. These devices do get paid from the rainy day fund, and the rainy day fund is paid back annually 25% each year.
Thank you, Mr. Hardman. You've heard the recommendation from the administration for the approval to purchase 2,400 Dell 3110 touchscreen Chromebooks, along with 2,400 Google management licenses from Electronic Strategies in the amount of $756,504. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Vassar. Second by Ms. Bazin. Question or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Easement agreement with the Region Holdings. Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. President, members of the board. Tonight I have for you an easement agreement with Region Holdings. When you see that in the agreement, I want you to think Olthoff Homes. They own the property between our two endpoints where we're starting the water line for the new Taft Middle School, and also on our property. We need to come across their north part of their property on down would be the east side of Gibson down to 121st to connect to our property. They've been kind enough to give us that easement for free. In return, we will not charge them any, only Region Holdings. If they were to sell the property at some point, it would not pass on to the owner of that. But we won't charge them tie-in rights to that water line since they're giving us that easement for free. So with that, we're recommending approval of the grant of easement with Region Holdings.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration for the approval of the grant of easement with Region Holdings. May I have a motion?
Second.
Motion by Ms. Bazin, second by Mr. Babjack. Question or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Mr. Reese, thank you for your work on that. I know that was a sudden issue and need to bring all parties involved, and never easy when you're dealing in that field, so to speak. So thank you for your work behind the scenes on that one to bring that to the limelight and to get fixed.
Thank you. Appropriate accolades need to be given to everybody involved. Indiana American Water, Olthoff Homes, Dion with the Skillman Corporation, Dr. Terrell. Everybody got together in quick order when they said we couldn't do it in quick order, and we got this done. I'm very excited to get this completed on time.
Thank you. 5.04, the new Taft Middle School Landscaping Award. Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Angel, members of the board. We asked for quotes for landscaping at the new Taft to comply with the requirements of the planned unit development with the town of Winfield. With that, quotes were requested, and one was received from Hubinger Landscaping in the amount of $142,506. So with that, recommending approval of that proposal.
You've heard the recommendation for the approval of Hubinger Landscaping Corp. to complete the landscaping work for the new Taft Middle School in the amount of $142,506. May I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Vassar, seconded by Mr. Babjack. Question or discussion? I know I see Dean on the audience, Mr. Reese. Any idea why there was just one? I know we normally get multiple bids. Just the scope, or?
It was a function of being able to deliver and install on time is what it came down to.
just, it's unusual just based on, we usually receive multiple bids on many, so I was just curious, nothing more. So it's always good to work with a local contractor, so happy that we have that resolved, and thank you.
And it should be noted the contract came in under the budget, so even with the one bid.
Any other questions? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Environmental remediation, Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Angel, members of the board. Prior to raising the Taft Middle School, some environmental remediation is required of that site. Sealed bids were requested, 3 were received. We are recommending approval of the low bid tonight, which is Safe Environmental Corp. In the amount of $203,817.
You've heard the recommendation of the administration for the approval for environmental remediation current Taft Middle School to Safe Environmental Corp. in the amount of $203,817. Do I have a motion? Motion by Mr. Babjack, second by Ms. Basin. Question or discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you. And last, on the action items 5.06, Winfield Elementary School additions, renovations, and related work project bid packages. Mr. Reese.
Thank you, Mr. Angel, members of the board. Tonight, we're bringing to you a recommendation for the construction at Winfield Elementary and the next step of our renovations at our current school buildings. Excited to announce that the total bids for this were $6,335,508 against a budget of $7,223,000 even. So with that, we had 10 categories, 26 bids were received, and the administration is recommending the approval of those 10 contracts, which I'm sure Mr. Angel will go through and read.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. You've heard the recommendation of approval of the contracts for the Winfield Elementary School additions, renovations, and related work project as follows. General trades to Larson Danielson in the amount of $1,941,000. For masonry to A1 Group in the amount of $806,900. For roofing to EC Babilla in the amount of $536,593. For aluminum entrances, glazing to Lazaro Companies in the amount of $303,250. For metal studs, drywall, and ceilings to Kleckner Interior Systems in the amount of $237,330. For flooring to Master Tile in the amount of $141,200. For food service to Great Lakes Hotel Supply in the amount of $803,988. For plumbing to Gatlin Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $211,400. For mechanical to Gatlin Plumbing and Heating in the amount of $633,292. And for electrical to MCOR Higher Electric in the amount of $720,555. May I have a motion for the approval of these bids for the Winfield renovation project?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Smith, second by Mr. Vassar. Question or discussion? Just one, I assume Dion, being that I see ya. I see, being that I live in that area, Gatlin has moved into that location. How soon is this started, or we already into the project?
We'll be starting June 1st officially.
Okay, so waiting for school to finish.
And we're working through the permit process with the county right now because that's actually unincorporated, so. But yeah, once school's out, that's when we'll actually start construction.
And being that we're with the county, usually no hold up, so to speak, as far as moving things forward.
No unreasonable hurdles.
Great.
Well said.
I'm leaving it at that.
The only question I had is, all these contractors we just named, we have relationship with all those contractors in the past?
Work with everyone in the county.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries 5-0. Thank you for all that were involved in any of those action items and a lot of the work that's done behind the scenes to bring that to us so we can at least look at and evaluate where we need to be. Thank you again. Item 6 tonight, information recognition items, the superintendent's discussion groups. I'll start just with any of the cities before we get to Mr. Vassar, because we'll throw you in under this category. Is that all right for the legislation report? Okay? Okay, anything? All right, Mr. Smith, we'll start with you first.
Just this past month, they went through the budget for the redevelopment commission in Crown Point. So I talked to Mr. Reese a little bit about that. Nothing pertinent. Obviously, there's some more businesses, more ribbon cutting ceremonies, which are all great for the city of Crown Point and our community. So, but nothing that's impactful in the schools at this point, and nothing further on that.
Great, thank you. Mr. Vasher, before we get to legislation, but if you have something on the initial from Cedar Lake?
Cedar Lake
Thank you.
redevelopment. We met earlier this month. The big issue down there now is the old South Shore Golf Course. The Y was going to originally purchase that kind of fell apart. The developer bought the property, and it was originally zoned for 130 home lots. The developer now has come back and wants those lots to be smaller for more houses, and it's actually a pretty big to-do going on down there about that right now. How does that affect us? That's our school kids come from that area, so more to follow, I'm sure, on that.
If I might just jump in there so when we were going through the redistricting planning, we were aware of those changes that were proposed or that they're working through right now, and went with the greatest impact of what that would be. So that's what we based our numbers off of.
Yes, it's that subdivision, and of course, another big one that is just east of Robin's Nest, Lakeside, and then one more east, goes from 133rd all the way south down to 141st. That's a mile. That's a lot of homes.
Thank you, Mr. Vasher. Just before you get to your legislative report, Mr. Reese, you had some information regarding it? Is that accurate?
Yeah, the Senate approved on their budget proposal on April 13th. It's just the next step in a process. It's some similarities to the House, some significant differences to the House budget. They started their conference committee late last week on into this week. The session has to be wrapped up by the end of this week. So we're looking forward to getting some more information on that. Just waiting to get the end of the week and excited to get started on our next 2-year plan.
Thank you. Mr. Vasher, details from the report that you were able to hand off your board members, we do appreciate.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. There's a lot to cover, and seeing as that the Assembly only has until the 29th, so that is till Saturday to finish all of their business. 2 months ago, they were talking about they're going to be able to finish early, and I don't think that's going to happen. But as Mr. Reese just said, with this budget, actually what's on the table right now is very nice for schools. As I gave you that handout there, or that first bullet on the biennial state budget, the increase in 2024 of just under 5%, and in 25, 9.4%, which is an incredible increase because it was really just supposed to be 2%. So that's fantastic if that continues to go through. Anything can change here in the last week of the Assembly, as we well know. Also, an increase in special education funding by $240 million. I think that's great. The elimination of textbook rental fees with the separate line item appropriation of $160 million a year as a categorical fund. And as Mr. Hardman mentioned, paying for those rainy day fund through textbook fees, that will still be in place if this goes through. So I think that's a good thing as well. It did not increase funding at this place for the Choice Scholarship Voucher Program. I think anybody in public education would be fairly happy about that. It is a concern of mine, though, that, as I talked about last month, that we have 252 Crown Point students that don't go to Crown Point schools on vouchers. That's in the neighborhood of $2 million. There has to be a way we could find out why. Why aren't we getting those students? I don't know how to do that. I really don't. So any of the administration here, if we could figure out a way to find out why our parents are choosing not to send their kids to our schools, I think that answer will help us in lots of ways, whatever the answer is. I think that's important. One thing on this budget, though, as you see on what I listed under negative results, it removed the dedicated funding for the CTE programs. That's huge. That's huge. I don't think anybody in this room could agree with that. Hopefully that changes. House Bill 1608, I'm not going to go through all of those bills at all, but both houses have approved mandating that schools notify parents when a student asks for a name or to be called a different name or to be called by a pronoun as their name. Parents need to be notified. I think that's a good thing. That bill has gone to the House of Representatives for agreement on the changes, and we'll see if that gets passed. Senate Bill 72, moving along, that's about school curriculum. Requires a few things, and I'm not going to cover all of them, but the two big ones for us schools would have to provide, well, Mr. Caccino, you might be interested in this one, that the schools will have to provide whether or not they're providing instruction on cursive writing. We have to now provide that if this goes through. Additionally, eliminating practices in the classroom and teaching things that are considered obsolete. So think like typewriters when they become obsolete, things like that nature. It's a pretty interesting bill. It can also, because of COVID, could take students back from the school years 19 through 22, and they could take any class, retake any class that they took as a virtual class. If the student elects to take any such class, the student must receive full credit for the class, and the grade earned by the student must replace the grade the student received when the student took the class virtually. Why do I mention that? Well, that could change things in class ranking. That could change valedictorian to salutatorian, things of that nature. I wouldn't foresee students coming back to take a class, but it is in the language so far. Senate Bill 380, it's under various education matters. This has to do with the library books. You may recall that about banning books in the library and removing books in the library. This language considers material harmful to minors, requires school boards, which is us, to adopt a policy to publish each school's online public catalog on the website of each school and allow a parent or guardian of that student enrolled in the school or a resident of the school corporation to submit a request to remove material from the school library that is obscene or harmful to minors. We have that policy in place. ISBA is recommending that all the corporations revisit their policy to make sure it's in line. So that could be something we need to take a serious look at as we move forward in that. On the next page, House Bill 1483, it has to do with prohibiting bullying in schools. This could be a big change. Principals know this, that this amendment would also require rules to include provisions that allow a parent of a student to review any audio-visual materials. That's a big change because that didn't used to be the case. So if this goes through, that will be a big change in the schools for our administrative staff inside of our schools. Under House Bill 1635, and by the way, these reports will get shorter next month, okay. But I feel as though you gave me the job to do, I'm gonna do it for you. So, the most significant provision is limiting to the number of students that can graduate through a waiver Okay, and I know we're under these numbers. It's 9% for next school year, 6% for the school year after, but then down to 3% in 2025. So, looking at those graduation numbers, we cannot be above 3% for our waivers, and more on that in just a little bit. And lastly, there is a huge typo that I put on the last sentence that I wrote. It should say the last day for the Indiana Assembly. Okay? Forgot to include that on there. So is there anything I can answer? I know that's a lot to digest, but that's why it's in writing for you.
Appreciate your efforts, Mr. Vassar, in getting this information to us. I think the next report you give will be the one that summarizes what actually did take place.
I sure
So
hope
that'll be
so.
the helpful one, and yes, and let's hope for the benefit of kids in this state of Indiana that they think what's best for kids, as most of us try to do on a daily basis. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Tim? Nope. All right. Item 6.02, Director of Elementary Education.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I want to, still Ms. Ramirez, I just want to get
Still
to
Ms.
the-
Ramirez.
Mr. Ramirez,
As long as much as I know anyways.
may I cut you off for a sec, just one sec?
Sure.
I had a few other things under new business, but can I go back to those? I don't think any of those are going to be.
No, we should have, new business will be coming up.
Okay.
Other business, the board under 7. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, not a problem. I just wanted to commend and thank Heather Corsi and with the support of Jennifer Pollitt for hosting our Math Bowl on April 11th. It was quite an event to see all of the families, caregivers that showed up. It's really inspiring to get to see 6 of our elementary schools who were competing really get together, and then to see the success that was achieved. Lake Street did achieve the #1 place out of our schools and place in the top 10 in the state. And it really is a strong effort on Heather Corsi and Jennifer Pollitt's plate to organize such an event. I also want to really thank our future educators. It's an exciting time. In May, it gets really kind of crazy with hiring, placing student teachers, and it's exciting to get to meet teachers who are interested in joining us here in Crown Point Community School Corporation, to understand their why of wanting to serve in our community, as well as their belief in the success that each student can achieve, is really an exciting part of the process of welcoming new teachers into our corporation. And so as we're going through interviews, it is just a great reminder to all of us of our why and why we started in education and why we continue to be passionate educators. I'd also like to thank our administrators. They are going to be meeting with the students who will be redistricted at the elementary level the weeks of May 15th and May 22nd to start welcoming them into their new school community, as well as then they have started to reach out to families as well. So I have every confidence that our students will be well supported throughout the transition, and that our families will remain in constant communication with our administrators so that they have proactive information and can engage with our schools just like they have been, but in a new location. Any questions about any of those shares? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
6.03, Director of Secondary Education, Mr. Gianfermi.
Thank you, Mr. President, board members. It's always easy to start with bragging about our fine arts department, but let's talk about some middle school accomplishments in fine arts. They competed at the state ISMA competition recently. Taft Middle School came back with all music awards in choir and orchestra, and Colonel Wheeler came back with all music awards in band, choir, and orchestra, one of only 3 middle schools to achieve that top ranking of all 3, getting that gold status. So really proud of what they do there, and I know that the high school also performed down in Florida recently and did fairly well too, as of course they would down there at Disney World. On April 12th, we had a new business open on 109th. If you haven't noticed, there's a new McDonald's open. And at their grand opening, they were, the owners, the Lubeznik family, were kind enough to give a generous donation of $2,000 to our Colonel Wheeler Builders Club. And what the Builders Clubs are in the middle school is all about community service and creating community partnerships. So it's great to see that a new business is coming in, and we've already established a great partnership with them. They're also going to support the One Book, One School program for Colonel Wheeler, so they'll be giving out coupons for kids to get some free cheeseburgers and hamburgers or whatever they may want to do that. So great for them, and we really appreciate that family reaching out to us and to our clubs. The Taft Cyber Dogs coach and science teacher, Miss Rachel Walker, was named the Indiana VEX IQ Middle School Mentor of the Year. So congratulations to her. What's kind of neat about this is the year before that, Mr. Early was named the Mentor of the Year at the middle school level. So for 2 years in a row, a Crown Point robotics mentor has earned that status of Mentor of the Year, and we just see that as more and more of our teams continue to qualify for worlds beyond state. So we keep on supporting them, and it's just good to see that that program just continues to grow. At Crown Point High School, they just completed SAT testing. 97% of our 11th graders completed the mandatory SAT test at the high school. Now we're moving on to AP exams, May 1st through May 12th. What's significant about this is we have 1,560 exams ordered. That is up from 2022 when we ordered 1,329 exams. So we continue to move forward and get more and more kids involved in those AP classes and taking those exams. Also want to help acknowledge the Community Foundation, Crown Point Community Foundation, who supplies us with some funds for students that are experiencing hardship and can't pay for the fee for the test. So they pick up for that annually for us. So we do appreciate that, so kids don't miss that opportunity to take that exam. Prom was last Saturday, so thank you to all the administrators, teachers, and people that donate their time to pull off a dance that includes 920 students at the Halls of St. George and successfully do that. That's a lot of work, and it's a time-honored tradition at high school that continues on, and we appreciate all their work. And are the Elstons still here? They are. You guys made it all the way to the end. I just want to, Brian did a great job of acknowledging Julie and all she's done in her classroom, but this family, Brian and Julie, just great teachers. Really admired working with you for 10 years at the high school, just all the things that you have done, not only in your classroom, but in your extracurriculars, coaching, and sponsoring clubs. Just can't appreciate you guys enough and your family. And thanks for those 2 great daughters that you came through, because they were wonderful too. So, thanks.
Former sports editor, so, when I say that I was blessed with really great students to work with, I really was. And so, and there's one right there. So, I'm not lying. Makes it easy.
Yeah.
We have great kids and great families.
Well, you guys sacrifice a lot of time beyond your classroom, and we appreciate you. Just want to say that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jane, for me. And just so we can get the record straight, combined years between the 2 of you in education?
Oh, you really want to know?
Well, people are watching at home, and I'm sure now after all those accolades, they just would be curious. Wow, so 66 years. Accolades well deserved. We were trying to stay away from the issue behind the scenes. All right, but congratulations to both of you, and thank you. Director of Exceptional Education, I know her husband. Mrs. Pascas, we're good. I apologize.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, and just to ditto Mark's statement on the Elstons, I think I have a child at home that's the president of the Elston Fan Club. So thank you for all that you've done to inspire these young minds. Just a note that I don't think I had mentioned in the past. Last summer, we received $1,000 donation from the Knights of Columbus here in town. And they said they had a member who wanted to donate their tag sales profits to us. So they wanted it specifically to go to exceptional ed, and we talked a little bit about, I explained one of the things we wanted to do was have a parent picnic for our extended school year, summer school. So it was great. We had a parent picnic at the fairgrounds at the end of our ESY, and we had kind of one of the traveling petting zoos come, and that's something we wouldn't typically be able to do without that donation. So thank you to the Knights of Columbus. To talk a little bit about hiring season, as you see tonight, you approved, we're very excited. We have another speech pathologist joining our team next year, a school psychologist, and a resource teacher. So we're in really good shape for April to get these hires, and people want to come here. They're seeking our district out. So thank you for helping us make it what it is here. Wednesday night is our transition fair, and this is all of our students with IEPs. Once they turn 14, we have to start considering their employment, interests and skills, independent living, and education and training. So this fair is going to be at the high school starting at 5:30 Wednesday, and it goes beyond just colleges. It's going to have like day programs where students can, once they age out after 22 years old with us, some of the day facilities that are in the area. We do have some of the trades there. Some banks come because some of our students require some special accounts their parents set up. Just really all kinds of great information. I think last year we had around 40 booths, and this year we're up to like 70. So the turnout is really increasing. So if you can stop by Wednesday night, we'd love to see you. And then to put on your calendar, Wednesday, May 10th is our Unified Game Day at Crown Point High School from 10 to 1. That's where we cheer on all of our applied skills students with their peer buddies, and they compete in an array of track and field activities. We have some generous community donors that we'll talk about next month that are helping to make it a real special day. So if you're available, we'd love to see you.
Yes, Mr. Angel, I wanted to recognize about 30,600 students right now are participating in iLearn. This is a kind of an intense time in our school buildings at grades 3 through 8. Also want to include in that we have students that are participating in the IM, that's the alternative assessment. It takes a lot of work, and students are the primary goal of trying to, for us, ascertain their proficiency levels and to take a look at and analyze our programming to improve it. Also, as we go through this, teachers and staff are vitally important to the administration of this test and to maintain its fidelity, and then the parents who are putting up with all of this as we go through our testing season. And then when Chromebooks break down, which they don't, I think all of you might be really surprised that the technology that is in the backbone of this assessment, we have very minimal issues with the technology. So again, thank you to Brian and the work of his staff as he prepares also for this. Test season, as Mark has alluded to, is here, and school year's coming to a close quickly after this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Angel. I have a couple items tonight. The first is Ms. Toriano, the district-wide head nurse, asked me to pass along some thank yous. Every year, first graders are required to have a vision test. We've had 4 eye doctors who have volunteered their time over the years. 2 of them have been with us the last 2 years, Dr. Kamyati from Community Health Net, and also Dr. Kusera from Moses Eye Care. They've both been with us the last 2 years. They donate 2 afternoons of their time to do all the vision tests. The last 2 I want to mention, though, are Dr. Sheila Bogart. She's from Midwest Eye Consultants. She is the one who organizes and gathering the rest of the doctors to come in and help us out with this. She's been doing it for 32 years. The last 16 of those have been with us. So we can't thank her enough for coordinating this for the last 16 years and also providing that service. And last is Dr. Gary Searcy. He's with Eagle Eye Optique. Let's say Eagle Eye. And the amazing part is he's retired, but he still does this, and he's been doing it for 40 years for us. So just wanted to make sure that as I butchered those names and their businesses, thank goodness the certificates won't be read in my voice. They'll be on print, and they can read it for themselves, so not to have me butcher their names anymore. But I just want to pass along those thank yous for their contributions and volunteer work to our organization, to the school district, in helping get those vision tests completed. Also, the next item I want to pass along is on Thursday, April 20th, we closed on the last round of bonds for our building construction projects. I'm happy to report that in issuing $32.9 million worth of bonds, we've added about $36.25 million into our project funds to do some premium on those bonds. I'm happy to go more in detail if you're interested. Let's just say it was a good bond sale. The average interest rate on that bond sale was a little under 2.75%. So still, even though interest rates have risen since the initial bond sale back in 2021, really excited about where we're at now with the closing up this last round of funding for the projects, and think we'll be there to complete these projects now without any further funding. With that being said, since our last meeting, tax bills have also gone out. We received a couple phone calls regarding the tax bills and what they look like. And if you notice, I want to acknowledge that as part of these projects, we talked all about not having a tax increase. And I think what's important to note is while the tax bill that we received in the mail shows a tax increase from 2022 to 2023 of about 10 cents, it's important to note when you go back to when the project started in 2021, we've actually seen a decrease of a little over 2 cents on our overall tax bill. We had a small dip in 2022 on that tax bill, and 2023 is coming back up. It's actually less than, I'm going to repeat that, less than 2 years ago by over 2 cents. So we're doing all these projects. We've actually seen a reduction in our tax bill. For further evidence of that, if you look back over the last 11 years while we've been in the referendum period, 9 of those 11 years, the tax rate was over $1.30. In the last 3 of the 4 years, the tax rate's been under $1.30, and that's even with doing these projects. It's important to note the tax rates are trending down even though we have done these projects in the community. So it's important to note while the tax bill only shows you a 2-year comparison, last year, this year, if you look back over a time period, especially over the last 12 years, we're actually seeing a decrease in our tax rates even with all the construction going on. So I want to make sure we, as you say, Mr. Ranger, earlier with the ambassador group, we get the right information out. It's important to note that. The information is not wrong on the tax bill. We did see a 10-cent increase from 22 to 23. But most importantly, it's actually a decrease from when the project started in 21 until 23, and we anticipate that going forward into the future.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Director of Communications, Ms. Allen.
Good evening, thank you. I would like to thank Sue Smoot from our Buildings and Grounds Department. As we've started nearing the opening of a couple of our buildings, and we finished some sections of Timothy Ball and others, interior signage is something that people never think of. They never notice. No one thinks about the locks on their doors and having the right key. And Sue and I had to sit down over the last couple of weeks and determine every single room number, every sign, make sure everything was correct. I just said yes to the color. But Sue's job was to make sure every piece of that information was accurate. The spreadsheets would make anyone's head hurt. It's just an amazing amount of information, and no one thinks about it because Sue gets it right, so we don't have to think about it. So I just want to thank her for her work.
Thank you, Ms. Allen. Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Terrell.
Thank you. So want to come back, last board meeting, we spoke about the naming of schools and buildings policy. Want you to know that been working with ISBA, and we have now about 14 different sample policies from around the state. So in talking with Mr. Angel, I'm going to work with Cabinet, and we'll bring you guys some of those kind of mushed together to get input and then changes. And I anticipate that we'll do that throughout the summer months as we work through first reading, second reading to get those policies where they needed to be. But wanted you to know that we are working towards that as we indicated. Building projects update. Want to let you know, and Dion's out here, and he can help if you guys have questions on this, but right now we're in a really good spot. You know, it seems like for the last, I don't know, 12, 16, 18, 24 months we've been talking about this, and it's really coming to life right now. And as you start to get closer to where we're opening buildings, as Brooke mentioned, seeing furniture being delivered, classrooms full of carpeting, flooring is in at the new Taft. We're right on track with where we need to be. Furniture will start being delivered here in the next couple of weeks. May 10th at Taft. And when that happens, it's just, carpet went in and it was a whole new thing. Whiteboards go up on the walls and you're like, wow, this is really, when furniture starts getting there, it's going to be an amazing thing to see. So again, thank you to Dion and his staff. It's crazy when you think about the number of projects we've got going on. And I'm telling you, the number of hiccups we have with those projects is incredibly minimal. Now, Dion's sitting out there thinking, yeah, they have no idea. But it's a credit to him, because all we see is that steady moving forward, and know that behind the scenes, Dion and his team, they're working daily to make little changes here. And if this is going to be delayed, how do we do an end around and come back on this side over here? And those contractors that we talked about with the Winfield bid tonight, so many of them are doing projects in other places in our district. And it's a credit to them. As you walk through those buildings, you can tell they're enjoying working for their own community to that end. So we do appreciate all of that. Legislative update, Mr. Bass, appreciate what you're doing there with working with that. You know, it really comes down to, we're at that point where those things that are going to happen are happening behind closed doors. Is the impact we've made up to now with different groups, and the conversations we've had, just can continue to work forward with that. Still believe we're going to end up in a really good place, but stay tuned, and we'll have great things for our community. Also want to remind you just of our board cabinet retreat coming up May 9th. Look forward to having you here, and we will start that with dinner being served first, and then we'll have kind of a working dinner and plan on staying until about 9 o'clock that night. So look forward to having you guys here and meeting with cabinet during that time.
When did that start?
5:45, start at 6.
Everybody's got that down, May 9th? Thank you, Dr. Terrell. Item 7.01, other business of the board. Before somebody else gets started, I just want to make sure, I know each individual kind of mentioned the contributions made by our community partners, including the new owners of the McDonald's. I want to make sure we don't forget about that. The Community Foundation is probably number one behind that, but there's so many more. Knights of Columbus were mentioned and things like that, that they kind of get overlooked sometimes, and I want to make sure that they get their just due based on just other than you mentioning them. And we are extremely thankful for all of those partnerships that work with the donations being given and everything they do to help us out in areas of need. And it's done way more than it comes to the forefront at a board meeting. So I want to make sure that they do realize that we do thank them for everything they do, whether it's just, you know, contributing when those individuals contribute at the middle school for like career day. They volunteer their time to come and help kids kind of learn about finances and everything else that goes along with that. So all of that doesn't go overlooked on our behalf as a board. So I want to make sure that they do get their acknowledgement.
Start time is 5, not 6. I'm sorry.
That would have had the record shortest retreat.
Yeah, no. 5, and we'll start serving. Food will be ready at 4:45, so if you want to get here a little early.
Great. Moving on to other business of the board, I know, Mr. Vassar, you had a few things?
I do, thank you very much. Lake Central, Mrs. Paskett, she may know much more about this than I do. Lake Central is now starting the next school year an alternate diploma.
Thank you.
Hear me now?
Yep.
Is starting an alternate diploma for students with cognitive disabilities.
The state just approved the alternate diploma. I don't even think it's been a month. So we have a group of students that will graduate with that this year.
Fantastic. I just think that's wonderful. As a former special educator, I just think that's absolutely wonderful. Second thing I wonder about is when we receive our board packets for personnel, and we are to, either approve or not approve those, people are working before they're approved. That could lead to embarrassing situations. What can we do about that to streamline that a little bit? Don't have to have an answer now, but just.
So sometimes based on timing of those fill-ins, hires, things to be, it's almost impossible to address, like, to fix some of those, but I'll let Dr. Terrell speak in regards to that as far as the overall process of that.
Yeah, so Mr. Angel's correct in the fact that we try to have those be after the fact. There are some of those, especially like if you look at ECA positions that are part of that, so background checks, all of that has gone through and has been processed before, and part of it comes up with the timing of it all. So one of the things that you will see on our next board meeting is beginning in May and then going throughout the summer, the board will give me permission to hire before the next board meeting. So that way we can benefit on not waiting 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever it might be, to be able to get the best talent and recruit them as well. So that's kind of that process there. Again, we try to make sure that when we can, that we hit that mark. There's just a few exceptions.
Well, thank you for that.
I just didn't want to know all of the background stuff obviously is done well before they're at that approval state, which ours have gotten really extensive from the years I've just been on the board, with general moving into pretty much a full background check. So.
Well, some things can obviously slip through the cracks.
Sure.
And just don't want to put anybody, us, staff, or that employee in an embarrassing situation. Just want to reiterate about the 252 voucher students. I think that's important if we can find reasons why that happens.
So we know where those students are going. The majority of that number are going to religious schools, and that's where we're seeing those students go. So that's the biggest part.
Mm-hmm.
Can we clarify, is it 252 students or 252 students who are pulling their voucher money?
252 voucher students. That's the report I received. So I don't know, and you know, I think we can make conjectures and surmise about, oh, they're going to go to that school anyway, which I'm sure is true in many cases. I'm not sure if it's true in all the cases. So I just want to make sure that are we capturing what we need to be capturing for the parents and for the students? Could be a lot to.
It's something that can be a subject matter at a retreat as well.
Retreat.
So we'll make sure we bring it up.
And ISBA also is recommending that we review our policies, which I'm sure we're going to be doing after the retreat. Am I correct in that?
For any existing policies that need review
Right.
or that hasn't been updated now, because once again, we switched carriers.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Terry has really hit hard on that one as well. And then,
So let me comment on that. So we have monthly reviews with them and quarterly reviews with them where we continually review our policies and then bring changes if they are needed to the board.
yeah. Well, I don't know if he was speaking in terms of what happens with the assembly, if that was fresh on his mind, because I just received that on Monday, I believe it was. No, last Monday, not today, but
We will
fresh on his mind.
continue our practices and make sure that those are addressed.
Yeah, and then lastly, it just hit me when the Taft students were up here, seeing all these kids walk up, which was wonderful. In 2005, state mandated that every school, every public school in the state has the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, followed by a moment of silence. Why don't we do the same? I mean, to set the example for our schools. I mean, we do the pledge, but we don't have a moment of silence. Is there any reason why we don't do that? Because our schools do that.
The first mention of it, and I have no objections, and we can discuss that as a board to move forward with that. Don't see any issues with it, but make sure we're all on the same page on that.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board new business at this time? Ms. Paskus, again, apologize for the first time. What was the time of the thing next Wednesday, the event?
May 10th.
Unified Track.
May 10th is at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m.
At the high school?
Yes, out in the football field. Rain
10
date, May 17th,
But 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
May 10th. Thank you. Well, I had May 10th down, but I had no time. So I want to make sure if I can make it, I can get there on time.
10 and 10.
10 and 10. Perfect. Any other new board business this time? Okay, moving on to 8.01, board statements of appreciation and recognition. We'll start with you, Mr. Vassar, if any.
Sure, I'd like to compliment Brooke Allen.
Mike, please. Thank you.
Brooke, I'd like to compliment you. Here's why. I received a personal phone call from a resident, parent, has 2 students in Crown Point schools, to compliment whoever put together on the website the transferring of students with the redistricting, and said it was incredibly easy to follow, and any question that she had, she found the answers to. So just wanted to say thank you, Brooke, for making all of us look good and for your efforts on that.
Thank you, Mr. Vassar. Ms. Bazin, anything this evening?
Yes, I had the opportunity last month to attend, and I'm probably going to butcher what the actual name of it was, but it was the Academic Honors Awards Banquet. Did I get that accurate? Alongside Dr. Terrell, Mr. Hardman, and Mr. Gianfermi. And it was where we were acknowledging and celebrating the students who had GPAs of 3.85 and higher. Is that correct? And it was a really exciting event, besides seeing all of those smiling faces who were very excited to graduate. But the students, they selected, I think, 3 or 4 students who had the opportunity to speak about the teacher who they felt had the most impact on them. And Mr. Elston, were you one of those? So I feel like while we're on that train of recognizing some excellence, it was really, to what Ms. Ramirez had said, kind of reminds you of your why and why you're here. But hearing the impact that those handful of teachers had on their students and hearing the emotion come out of those students was very impactful to me. I think there was one that made me tear up, and I'm sitting there on stage thinking, wow, a very powerful speech by a student, very powerful emotions that they felt towards their teacher. And then recognizing that that is just a small sample of what all of our teachers are doing across the corporation that these few were recognized for, but just the deep impact that that our teachers are having on students, and getting to kind of hear that and celebrate alongside everyone was very very impactful and kind of reinvigorating, and also made me miss teaching in my classroom a little bit. A lot of those students I had in 2nd grade or had come through Eisenhower, so I appreciate the opportunity to attend that. That was wonderful. So thank you for the invite for that.
Thank you. Mr. Babjack?
Nothing from me tonight, thank you.
Mr. Smith?
I had a list on my cell phone, and I left my cell phone at work, so I'm gonna have to come back next month more prepared, so.
You
will
attorneys
pass.
work harder
Yeah.
than all of us, so I don't know how you keep your head on straight. so.
I'll pass for tonight.
Oh,
Pick it
Mr.
up
Angel,
next.
can I sneak back for one more?
Absolutely.
I do quickly want to acknowledge and thank Dr. Terrell for his communication through the number of things that have come up just since we've been on the board, Mr. Vassar and I, in January. We're always made aware of big things or things that might hit the media or those things in advance, and it's very nice, the transparency, the communication, and just feeling like we know what's going on and we know how it's being handled is very it's very comforting, I guess, to know that that's all being handled, and very much appreciated the communication that you provide as well. So I didn't want to forget. I forgot. I knew I had a note somewhere, and then I didn't see it till after. So I did want to thank you as well for your communication, Dr. Terrell.
Yeah, I don't mind those 5 a.m. texts. I really don't know about anyway, but thank you for this.
Just know if you're getting yours at 5, mine started probably about 3:45.
I don't even know where to go with that one, just because trying to convey to 4 individual board members individually, and then wait for each individual response to make sure things are all coordinated, makes for some interesting mornings and early afternoons. But I do appreciate everyone to raise a community or whatever. Well, when you're a member of a 5-board panel, you have to make sure that things are conveyed in a professional manner, yet at the same time, acknowledgement, so that everybody's on the same page moving forward, knowing that we're responsible for the 9,000 kids and everything else that's on in this community. So thank you in that regard as well. I don't have anything individually other than, as a reminder, graduation, I think I can speak this accurately. For the first time ever, we'll be in the month of May. Is that probably right, Mr. Hardman? Just being that you've been here a lot longer than I've been here and that you were a principal of the building at one time. So May 31st, the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So please put that down on your calendar. It's always, and now with that, they moved it outdoors, and I like that atmosphere a lot better, even though the Radisson and Star Plaza Theater was nice. Outdoors just seems to have a little extra special to it, knowing that they're held on the ground. So looking forward to seeing everybody that day. I don't have anything else other than, once again, I'd just like to say kudos to those individuals that went through the training and the ambassador program. Once again, I think it's a great thing, and we look forward to continuing each and every year and expanding that and making our community more aware of what is out there and what's done behind the scenes, which I think is more important than anything. So with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Basin, seconded by Mr. Babjack. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion